Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, the Skoda is finished. The guy just texted me, 20 minutes he will be picking it up. We're not gonna get too far with this one today, but I think we will have time at least to make a start on this. And the problem with this is, first of all, the car is a 2010 Mercedes C-Class. I believe this is the C220. The engine, CDI, the engine is not really important, because the problem has nothing to do with the engine. So what is the problem with this? I'm not going to be able to show you, or you're not going to be able to see it, but, well, is what it is. Let me start the car. Okay, car is running. So the problem with this is the power steering. So this particular car has the hydraulic power steering, and the complaint is that it's not always, apparently, but most of the times the power steering is really heavy. I had the chance to experience that when I was moving the car, because the car was left outside, when I was moving the car to park it right here. Especially when you get close to full lock either side, the steering gets extremely heavy. So yeah, at the moment, yeah, it is heavy for this car. Yeah, especially because I had a few of these here, and I know this steering is literally light, extremely light. It's not like this, no chance. Yeah. Oh dear. Let me go to full lock. Yeah, when you get here to full lock, or close to full lock, it gets extremely heavy. So that's the complaint. Now, one of the things I need to find out first with this car is, but I don't know if he's gonna have that, is if this car has progressive power steering. I don't think it will have, but we're gonna have a look, which is, as you speed up, the steering gets harder and harder, and when you are like stationary like this, the power steering is extremely light. I don't think we'll have that, but we're gonna have a look. I don't know what the problem is, guys. I'm gonna think that my problem is gonna be the pump, because there is a funny noise that I've noticed on the day the car was dropped, which I didn't have the chance to go and see where it was coming from, but that sort of it was not a hum noise, it was kind of a whining noise, sort of like a really high pitch noise. It might be that was coming from the pump. Anyway, we're gonna give you a quick scan, just make sure there's nothing to do with sensors or something like that, pressure sensors, who knows. We're gonna give you a quick scan just because we can, and then we'll move from there. Okay, sorry about the glare, guys, but it is what it is. So plenty of faults, as you can see from, let me turn these lights off like that. Right, so plenty of faults, as I was saying. So from engine control module to ESP, blah 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 blah, look at that. Plenty of faults. I'm not really interested in these faults. The car took a little bit to start. I didn't like the way the car started, and I know this is probably those little things that sometimes you only kind of see it when you actually work on the car. But yeah, it took a little bit to start, so I think this battery is not in very good shape, especially when I've seen that in the back seat as well. So, oh well. So it might be that some of these faults are going to be for low batteries, for low voltage, etc, etc. I'm just going to quick check. I don't think it will have nothing to do with this. I'm just going to check the steering column. Ramp to non-ignition and engine cannot be started. Please confirm. Whatever that is. Four buttons fitted, yes. I think this is for the column at the top, so I'm sure it has nothing to do communication with the instrumenters cluster. There we go. So not really sure why is that. Instrument cluster. Did I go instrument cluster? I'm sure I did. Where is my instrument cluster? Oh, there is. So there everything's good. So I'm gonna ignore these faults, guys, because most likely they're gonna have nothing to do with my power steering, and I'm just gonna be here wasting my time. I don't think this car has the progressive power steering anyway. It's just gonna be a normal power steering most likely. So I think either my problem is gonna be the steering column, the steering rack, or my pump. One of the two. Let me go through these codes and see if I see anything. I'll come back and I will show you, but I don't think it will be nothing. Boost pressure control, full throttle valve, the output of the alternator actuate, all store codes, most likely for the low batteries, who know. Let me dig into these a little bit more, see if there's anything that makes any sense, or if there's anything that could point to the power steering, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I just went in there, tried to see if I could hear that sort of humming noise now, but I can't hear it anymore. Wow, not really sure. So it might, unless it was just me, it could have been me thinking it looks, unless it's something else making it, it really looks like a sort of a noise. Oh well. Anyway, right, I carried on scanning the car, and some of you that are familiar with this probably already go, whoa, that car actually has progressive power steering, or as Mercedes call them, is a sensitive power steering, is what Mercedes call it. How do I know that? Because the ABS module is the component responsible for that function. So as you can see, there's a few stored faults for component Y10/1, which Maxis is telling me is a pump quantity control valve. But then right at the bottom, the last two, and one which is still current and stored, code 5075, is actually the SPS, which I presume is going to stand for sensitive power steering. The PML, I don't have a clue. Solenoid valve as an open circuit. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the same component or if it's going to be a different component. And I think because I do have that facility, I'm going to do just a little bit of visual inspection. But because I have that facility, I think this is going to be the moment where we're going to change tools, and I think you guys know exactly which one we are going to connect. So I'm going to do a little bit of visual inspection around there, see if there's anything that calls my attention. If not, as I said, it's going to be that. It's going to be plug in, start, and because it's going to give me all the information I need, and it's just going to make my life much easier. That is, if it's not going to rain in the meantime. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I went at the front, checked ABS, unplugged it, plugged it back in, looked at the plug, see if there was any moisture, any signs of corrosion, everything fine. And my next step, what I've done next was, so the system looks like, from what I'm seeing, it looks like there is a solenoid at the back of the pump, of the steering pump. I think that solenoid is what controls the flow. So I think someone has been here before, because there was a little bit of stuff at the top not in place. So I think someone has been here before, and probably is why those store codes are at the top. There you go. So we should have two now. There we go. So now I have that one, which is Y10/1 is going to be my pump control valve. That is going to be something else. Okay, I think the way this works is there is that flow valve just on the outfeed of the pump. that controls the amount of either flow returning to the pump or going into the steering rack. And then it's going to be other components somewhere in the steering rack, and I think that's the one that's bad. So at the moment I have 2 faults, current and stored, because I unplugged that. Let me show you, and that's why it's throwing the fault. By the way, there is no faults showing anywhere during everything plugged in. Obviously it is now because I unplugged it, but normally there is no faults. Let me show you. So that's why I unplugged, which is a solenoid. Can't really see it, right there behind the pump. That's the pump. So that's the solenoid I have unplugged, which throw this code. So definitely is not this one, so I'm gonna have to find out which one is component Y10. Not sure. Shall I get star? I think I will. It was right at the bottom of the pile. I haven't used it for a long time. So I don't even know if there is battery on this. So let's gonna get this running. I think I might gonna need power supply. I don't think there is battery on this. So let's fire this up and see if these tell us where to look. I could swear there is a funny noise coming from here. I hope I'm wrong. Anyway, let's gonna close this just a little bit like that, because it looks like it's going to rain. Black clouds at the back, they don't look very good. Anyway, right, I'm now plugged in with Zentre. We are ready on my ESP. So let's gonna go to error codes. So I plugged in that solenoid, so we should have only one. There we go, only one code, current and stored. All the other ones are stored. Let me just go a quick through this. Tire pressure, switch, what's that? That's fine. That's good. Yeah, that's okay. What's that? Okay, steering. Let me see steering angle. Okay, so this is live data. There's nothing here for my steering. It's really interesting. Tire pressure loss. That's okay. Let me go through a list of fault codes. Right, let's kind of dig into this a little bit and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I found here under actuations 2 things that I could actuate. So the power steering pump control quantity valve, which is Y10/1. That's another one that gives us a fault, is that one. And look what it says in there. So it tells me in there that start actuation, the steering is alternately loose and stiff. And then terminate actuation. So the specified value is somewhere between 0 and 800. I don't think 30 milliamps is what the valve should take, because if you come to this valve here, it needs the engine running. But this one, it was drawing about 380 or something like that. It's going to continue. Oh crap. I think I'm going to have to do this again. Hold on. I'm just a little bit worried because my battery is absolutely crap. Honestly, why people bring me cars like this, I don't know. Look at that, it went down to 9 volts. There we go. So this is the Y10/1, which is the one at the pump, is drawing around 249 milliamps. This one, however, I think is going to ask me the same again. To turn the engine off or key off, etc, etc. I'll do the thing again. There we go. Ignition off. Switch ignition on. I'm gonna start actually the car at this point. Let me see if he accepts the car running. I hope he does. Yes, he does. So 30 milliamps. At the moment, my steering is not light. Now let's gonna activate that valve. Switch ignition off. Why did he ask me to turn ignition off? Ignition on. Does it not? So I should have my engine running for this. There we go. You've seen that 30 milliamps flashing red. I thought you were giving some sort of a result. Ignition on. I don't think 30 milliamps would be nothing to do with the load of a solenoid. So let me do again. See if he accepts that. I'm not sure what he's doing. Probably he's tried to activate the valve, but he can't. Actually, let me do one thing here. Because there is a continue button at the bottom that I missed. No selection made. Okay. I have a feeling that this valve is not drawing anything. So, what else we have? Let's gonna go to list of fault codes. Oops. It was the first one, wasn't it? Combustion engine running. Let's gonna start the thing. Hold a second, guys. Sorry about that, guys. Interestingly enough, that brings me to the same, to pretty much the same test, although it tells me in there what I need to do. So I'm gonna do it from this menu and see what happens. The value doesn't really change, 30 milliamps, and stays at 30 milliamps. So obviously it reports an open circuit, so that would make sense. It could be a faulty solenoid or valve, whatever that is. So I'm gonna say it was the actuation okay. So I'm gonna tell it no. So ignition off. So this is to check between. Is to check voltage between pin 47 and pin 17. Okay. Ignition off. Ignition on. So is one of those brake box for the ABS module. I'm gonna tell him yes. Okay, so let's say I'm not sure if this is trying to measure the voltage. if this is trying to measure the output of the ECU into the solenoid valve. Maybe that's the case, but let's say if I tell them yes, now this, okay, now this one is good. I'm gonna check that one. So this now is to check the resistance on my solenoid. Most likely that's what it is. So it's going to be pin 31 and pin 17. Okay, so we're going to check that and see if my resistance is between 5 and 12 ohms. Okay, so yeah, 100% sure I'm back probing the right pins, 17 and 31. So just a quick thing here about when we've seen the tool asking to plug the adapter cable wherever that was. Basically what Mercedes does have for a lot of components, ABS, engine ECUs, etc., is a kind of a breakout box, which is a cable that plugs in here, and then another part that plugs in here, and then he has a section where you can do measurements. So you can do measurements with ignition on, and that's obviously brilliant. He saves you from having to go and back probe connectors, etc., etc. In this case now we are measuring the, so we skipped the measurement of the voltage. We are now measuring the valve. I believe we should have between 5 and 12 ohms, if you guys remember. So that's all plugged in, and we do have open line. So that doesn't necessarily mean we have a bad valve. We could have a bad wiring, but still, at least we start getting somewhere. So we are going to quick put this back in. I have a feeling that it's not going to ask me to do any more measurements, and it's going to start to point me either, well, you might ask me to measure from here to the valve, but I'm not going to do that today. Not with this weather, because it's going to rain in no time. I keep saying this, but it was just raining a minute ago. The weather is crap. The entire month of May has been absolutely a disaster. Weather-wise, has been really bad. Right, so let's gonna tell, oh dear, so let's gonna tell him, is the internal resistance okay? Let's tell him no. Possible causes: electrical line of power supply component Y10, check control line, solenoid valve, and the component is defective. So exactly what I thought. I was wondering what that was. I ran out of space on the phone. As I was saying, so obviously the next step is going to be measuring from the engine ECU all the way to the valve. I'm not sure if this is a 2 or 3 wire valve. Asking for I don't know, guys. I honestly don't know. But I'm sure we should be able to do something else here. If we go to event encodes, my ignition is off, so we're going to put this chassis and CAN bus off, so obviously because I haven't plugged the module. This is going to ask me for the same stuff. I was trying to see if this would show me where to look at these valves, so but it looks like it's not going to. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, and found it. It is a 2-wire valve. There is 2 wires only. It does have, yeah, so it's a 2-wire. Yeah, it's just a solenoid. I would like to know where it is. Where it is. I just thought it would be interesting to show you. So this is what I was talking about. So this is going to be my unit. That's my plug. Then that's a socket where the actually car loom connects to, and then we have the breakout box. So as you can see, where you can make all the measurements, etc., etc. It's really helpful, but I'm sure they are not that easy to find, and they must be quite expensive as well, I guess. Just so you guys you don't think, I've just cleared the codes and start monitoring the codes. As soon as I started the car, the fault came back immediately. So definitely the fault is present, and there's nothing you can do. So it is a hard code, I would say. Okay, so I just did a quick erasing of all the codes. Everything is fault free, apart from obviously the ESP. But the interesting thing as well is that now you remember the start I had no faults on the screen whatsoever, and now I'm left with these faults. They don't go away. Obviously there is a fault on the module, but interesting, I don't understand why it didn't come with all these lights before. I'm going to assume they are because of the fault, so because of the fault in there. But it is interesting that the fault was not, the lights were not in there before. Anyway, so I think my next step, guys, we can still have a problem here, which is obviously could be a problem from the on the ABS unit, not be able to power this valve. We can't completely discard that, but because if you remember, we skipped the step where we checked the voltage. I'm gonna be able to check that voltage at the plug once I manage to get the car in the air, get to the steering rack. I don't know how easy it is to get to this valve. So by the way, this white end is at the bottom of the steering rack, or at the bottom where the steering column gets into the rack, so where the pinion is, or on the outside obviously, but is where it is. We're going to be able to obviously perform this test again and see if we have the voltage in there that Zentry was telling me I should have. But I'm more inclined to think either a wiring problem or a bad solenoid. So I'm not going to order any solenoid just yet. I'm just going to find a way. Well, first of all, I need to find some good weather. This weather is just unbelievable, honestly, guys. But I'm going to have to find a way to get the car in the air somehow on the ramps or something like that, and so we can perform a few more tests, and then we'll go from there. But we are on a good track. Yeah, just let's see what we're gonna do next. Okay, and a couple days later, I put the car on the ramps, as you can see. Now, before you scream, the stand is over there, so don't go mental. Don't go mental. Right, so what I've done is I've took this wheel off. These being a left-hand drive car, sorry, a right-hand drive car, I presumed that the solenoid is going to be where the steering column meets the rack, where the pinion is. Obviously, if you are on a left-hand drive, you're probably going to have to go on the other side, but you're not going to believe, guys, as soon as I took the wheel and I start to look through, you're not going to believe what I've seen, and I still don't know why the hell is this. Can you see that? I just can't believe why. I mean, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I presume it was done deliberately. So maybe that we don't have a problem at all. But because I've started this as a diagnosing process, what I decided to do is, if you remember, we skipped one little step because I didn't have that breakout box sort of for the plug to put on the ABS module. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that test again, which is the test for the voltage, but we're going to do it at this end. If we do that, if I do it at the plug, so the plug is somewhere in here. Let me pull the cable out. Oh crap, there it is. So this is my cable. So if we do that test here, we kill two birds with one stone. One, we're going to see if we do have the voltage, but also we're going to see if my wire is good. Yes, I could unplug the ABS module again and check these two pins into pins 17 and 31, if I recall correctly. Those were the pins, and to check for continuity. But if I do have voltage here, then that means obviously my wire is good. And then I guess I'm just going to plug this back in, and that's it, really. If I need to take that valve, it's a little bit tricky to get to it by the looks of it, but okay. I don't understand why this is unplugged, honestly. Honestly, it is, I don't know. So let's gonna put some connections and see if we have voltage in there or not. So everything is connected. I'm probing that plug in there. Believe me, everything is connected. The multimeter along with my test light. So we should be able to see the voltage reading and we should be able to see my test light glowing. Now I haven't fired the laptop yet, but I'm gonna guess when you turn the ignition on, the ABS unit is gonna send a pulse to this valve to check for resistance to see if the valve is good. I'm pretty sure the module will be doing that. So what I'm gonna do is, you can see both like this, I'm pretty sure you can. So we have 14.4, let me go into voltage. We have, sorry, 0 millivolts really. That was on, I had the thing set into resistance. So I'm gonna turn the ignition on and just look for these two values, or for the test light and for that value, and we'll see what we get. So I'm gonna turn it on. Bye guys, my phone was ringing. I had to hurry up a little bit, or rush a little bit. Anyway, as you have seen, we have a quick glowing of my test light. From the inside of the car I couldn't see the reading. I might gonna have to go back on the video and watch it, but anyway, so as you've seen, we have voltage reaching there, and well, that's spot on. So I don't know why that valve was disconnected. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the bonnet. I'm going to plug in that valve, and I'm going to measure again the resistance between 17 and 31. If I do have between 5 and 12, as Zen3 was telling me I should have, then that means I might have a good valve. And honestly, I'm not going to try to guess why that was disconnected. Okay. We're just going to clean this after all was exposed to the elements, just in case if there's any. I can't reach that far, but I can definitely reach the valve. I let it to dry for a little bit. In the meantime, we'll get this bonnet open. We are going to unplug this thing again so I can measure those two pins. Come on. I think I need both hands for this as well. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay, let's gonna plug that thing now. Oh. Right at the back. I'm gonna have to do it like this. There it is, plugged in now, as you can probably see in there. Okay, the cable, the wire seems to be routed okay. It's not a problem there. Let's gonna measure those two pins again. Okay, I'm sure you can see the screen roughly. I know some of you want me to take that off, but okay, so it's 31, which is this one here. I'm sure it's 17. 7.8 ohms. Or 7.98 ohms, so between 5 and 12. That is absolutely spot on. So let's plug everything back in, get the car connected to Zen3, clear the codes, and do a final test. Okay, first thing, let's gonna turn the ignition on and see what we have. Okay, we still have the same ABS faults, etc, etc, which is not much of a problem, I guess. Okay, let's kind of fire Zen3 up and give it a scan. Okay, and after a quick scan, as you can see, all my codes now are stored, and that includes the component Y10. Can buzz most likely because I've disconnected that before everything was asleep. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Let's kind of quick clear all the faults on this car and see if my ABS light goes away. There were some faults for the wiper. Something saying it was blocked. I guess that was because of the bonnet being open. Okay, so it's going to It's gonna do what now? Let's start a quick test again, make sure no faults came back. Okay, test just finished, and I do have no faults, including on my ESP. There is no faults at all. So, he still tells me that I have those faults in there, maybe because I'm still connected to the car, perhaps. So anyway, let's go into come out of this completely, which is up here, I think it is. No, it's not here, it's here. Yes, I do want to exit the vehicle. Okay, so that's out. It's gonna cycle my ignition and start this thing up. That's strange now. Why do I have those faults? And the stranger thing is, those faults were not here at the start. So, what will that be for? It's the only thing I can think of. I'm gonna put the wheel back on, drop the car, turn the steering maybe left to right. I don't know. I'm not really sure why the lights are still on. Yeah, and we'll go from there. Just before I do it, I do know the car is with a wheel in the air, but honestly the steering feels like butter. So soft. It's really, really good. So I think this has fixed my steering problem. Let's just see why that's on then. Okay guys, I'm glad I did what I did, because it just stopped, but it was raining like there was no tomorrow. Anyway, I'm just gonna go for a quick drive. I moved my car out of the way, the Corsa, and I want to go for a quick drive, test drive, to see if this light disappears, because there is no codes, so the only thing I can think of is that it needs a little bit of a driving. So I'm just gonna go for a quick drive, see if the fuel is enough, see if we can make this to go away. One thing I forgot to mention, which was the main reason for this video, the steering is spot on, guys, absolutely spot on. It's light, it's fine, it's back to normal, so that fixed my problem. Oh, look at that, the lights just went away. So you only needed a little bit of driving. I didn't even go to the end of the road. So I'm just gonna turn around here. Hold on a second. Really strange though that it didn't throw any faults. Really strange. Anyway, look at that. Yeah, good. Okay guys, problem fixed. As I said, steering is spot on. It's really light now compared with what it was at the beginning, all because that was disconnected. And now, why was that disconnected, guys? I don't know. There's some malicious people out there. I can only guess. I don't know, guys, honestly I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video up because I kind of took you through all the procedures. If you have this issue, you're either gonna have a wiring problem, or you're gonna have a bad valve, a bad solenoid, either the white end at the bottom on the steering rack, or the one by the pump that I've showed you earlier. And I think I've showed you, so there's some information here that I hope is going to be useful. So with no further ado, guys, the problem is solved. That's all that matters. So with no further ado, hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you find some information here that can be helpful. If you do have any questions, any comments, put them below. And like always, I can't believe these were disconnected. Honestly, what a joke. And like always, thanks for watching.